जाऊं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। इसको फाउंडर आचार्य श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगामय की जय। यमुनामय की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताय गौरा प्रेमानंदी। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, text number 18. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tad-darshana-halada pariplutanarto. Tad-darshana-halada pariplutantaro. Hrishyatanu prema bharashrulochanaha. Hrishyatanu prema bharashrulochanaha. Nanam padam bujamasya vishvashrig. Nanam padam bujasya vishvashrig. Yat paramahamsena pathadigamyate. Yat paramahamsena pathadigamyate. Tad-darshananalada pariplutanatro. Tad-darshanalada pariplutantaro. Hrishyatanu prema bharashrulochanaha. Nanamapadam bujamashva vishvashrig. Yat paramahamsena pathadigamyate. Tad-darshanahalada pariplutantaro. Hrishyatanu prema bharashrulochanaha. Nanamapadam bujamasya vishvashrig. Yat paramahamsena pathadigamyate. Tad-darshanalada pariplutantaro. Hrishyatanu prema bharashrulochanaha. Namapadam Bujamasya Vishvishrig Yat Paramahamsena Patadigamyate. Please repeat word for word. Tat, by the audience of the Lord. Darshana, audience. Ahlada, joy. Paripluta, overwhelmed. Antaraha, within the heart. Rishyat, full in ecstasy. Tanu, body. Prema bhara, in full transcendental love. Ashru, tears. Lochanaha, in the eyes. Nanama, bow down. Padambujam, under the lotus feet. Asya, of the Lord. Vishvashrik, the creator of the universe. Yat, which. Paramahamsena, by the great liberated soul. Patha, the path. Abhigamyate, is followed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. Lord Brahma, thus seeing the personality of Godhead in His fullness, was overwhelmed with joy within his heart, and thus in full transcendental love and ecstasy, his eyes filled with tears of love, he thus bowed down before the Lord. That is the way of the highest perfection for the living being, Paramahamsa. Purport. In the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that this great literature is meant for the Paramahamsas. Paramo nirmatsaranam satam. That is, the Srimad Bhagavatam is meant for persons completely free from malice. In the conditioned life, the malicious life begins from the top, namely bearing malice against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Personality of Godhead is an established fact and in all the revealed scriptures. And in the Bhagavad Gita, the personal feature of the Supreme Lord is especially mentioned. So much so that the last portion of the great literature has emphatically stressed that one should surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be saved from the miseries of life. Unfortunately, persons with impious backgrounds do not believe in the personality of Godhead, and everyone wants to become God himself within any qualification. This malicious nature in the conditioned soul continues even up to the stage when a person wants to be one with the Lord. And thus even the greatest of the empiric philosophers, speculating on becoming one with the Supreme Lord, cannot become a Paramahamsa because the malicious mind is there. Therefore, the Paramahamsa stage of life can be attained only by those who are fixed in the practice of Bhakti Yoga. This Bhakti Yoga begins if a person has the firm conviction that simply discharging devotional service to the Lord in full transcendental love can elevate him to the highest perfectional stage of life. Brahmaji believed in this art of Bhakti Yoga. He believed in the instruction of the Lord to execute tapa, and he discharged the function with great penance, and thus achieved the great success of seeing the Vaikuntha Lokas and the Lord also by personal experience. No one can reach the abode of the Supreme Lord by any mechanical means of the mind or machine, but one can reach the abode of the Vaikuntha Lokas simply by following the process of Bhakti Yoga, because the Lord can be realized only through the Bhakti Yoga process. Lord Brahmaji was actually sitting on his lotus seat, and from there, by executing the process of Bhakti Yoga in great seriousness, he could see the Vaikuntha Lokas with all variegatedness, as well as the Lord in person and his associates. Following in the footsteps of Lord Brahma, any person even up to this day can attain the same perfection by following the path of the Paramahamsa as recommended herein. Lord Chaitanya also approved of this method of self-realization for men in this age. Lord Chaitanya also approved of this method of self-realization for men in this age. One should first with all conviction believe in the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, and without making efforts to realize him by speculative philosophy, one should prefer to hear about him from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and later from the text of the Srimad Bhagavatam. One should hear such discourses from a person, Bhagavatam, and not from the professional man or from the karmi, jnani or yogi. This is the secret of learning the science. One does not need to be in the renounced order of life. He can remain in his present condition of life. But he must search out the association of a bona fide devotee of the Lord and hear from him the transcendental message of the Lord with faith and conviction. That is the path of the Paramahamsa recommended herein. Amongst various holy names of the Lord, he is also called Ajita, or one who can never be conquered by anyone else. Yet he can be conquered by the Paramahamsa path, as practically realized and shown by the great spiritual master Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma has personally recommended this Paramahamsa Pantha in his own words as follows. Jnane prayasam upadasya namnateva jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadivartam sthane stita shruti gatam tanuvan manobir ye prayaso jita jito apyasitais trilokyam. Lord Brahma said, O my Lord Krishna, a devotee who abandons the path of empiric philosophical speculation aimed at merging in the existence of the Supreme and engages himself in hearing your glories and activities from a bona fide sadhu or saint and who lives an honest life in the occupational engagement of his social life, can conquer your sympathy and mercy even though you are Ajita or unconquerable. That is the path of the Paramahamsas, who was personally followed by Lord Brahma and later recommended by him for attaining perfect success in life. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurvai Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nice long purport. So, Lord Brahma, in this chapter as we hear, is finally able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he's not just seeing the Lord himself, he's seeing his associates, he's seeing Vaikuntha Loka, he's seeing all the transcendental spiritual things that exist in the spiritual planets. He's seeing pretty much everything. So this is pretty good, because once he can see all that, he can describe it to us, how nicely he has seen. So Lord Brahma is doing exactly what he's been asked. He has performed tapasya in the heart. Krishna told him to perform tapasya, austerity. He performed austerity. Now he's able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's few interesting points in the purport that Prabhupada mentions. The first point would be that Brahma, on seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was overwhelmed with joy within his heart. That's the translation. Adalada paripluta, overwhelmed. Antaraha, within the heart. So joy, overwhelmed with joy within the heart. So this is a very nice point, because when you see something spiritual, when we see Krishna or when we see devotees of Krishna, one should be overwhelmed with joy in the heart. Do we get overwhelmed with joy in the heart when we see Krishna or when we see devotees of Krishna? Do we? Sometimes. Sometimes we don't. Yeah. So this is what we have to cultivate, because this is the essence of whole Bhakti Yoga philosophy, is to perform our service with joyfully. Yeah, where does Krishna say that in Bhagavad Gita? Susukham kartum avyayam. This science is joyfully performed. So that's what Krishna is telling us. Because when one loves someone, when there is love between two people, they always joyfully serve each other. Yeah, that's what the definition of love is. Because we often hear that love is the essence of many things, of friendship, of relationship, many things. Love is the essence. If you want to become a great human being, you should have love for everyone else. So love is the essence. But what is the essence of love? No one thinks about that. What is the essence of love? The essence of love is service for one another. Because without service, there is no question of love. Where is the service? One must wonder. If a man likes his wife, or if a wife likes his husband, they had to serve each other. Prabhupada says in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita that everyone is serving each other. An employee is serving an employer. An employer is supposed to be serving his employee. And husband is supposedly serving the wife, and wife is supposed to serve the husband. The kids are serving the parents are supposed to serve the kid. So the service is going on, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter where you are. So you can be a bird, or in a bird body, or in a human body. You still have to perform service for your other personal people, or your personal beings. Or like, for example, the nation is serving the people are serving the nation on a bigger scale. But the problem is that we don't want to serve Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's where the problem comes. Because we lost interest in serving Krishna, that's why we are here. So that's why we need to cultivate this whole Bhakti Yoga philosophy. Is not just emotional, sentimental belief. It's the science of devotional service. The acharyas in Rupa Goswami and many scholarly acharyas in the disciplic succession have explained and focused on this one important point. What is that important point? That this is not a religious sentiment. It's a supreme science which is coming straight from Krishna. It is science of devotional service. And that's what we need to cultivate. If you read the book called Nectar of Devotion or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, what is the translation of that byline of the book? The science of Krishna. That's the science of devotional service. That's the byline of Nectar of Devotion. So why have the acharyas given us this supreme science in the form of cultivating mindset for devotional service? It's so that we can improve and we should not speculate. That's the only reason. What's the point of speculating? You speculate, you spend 10, 15 years meditating, closing your eyes, meditating upon the impersonal form of the Lord, thinking that Lord is everywhere. I'll just close my eyes and sleep. And maybe Krishna will guide me from within. Or maybe I'll be able to see some light. So, and the acharyas don't agree with that. The acharyas say that instead of making your own, concocting your own philosophy about how to see Krishna, you should just follow what great acharyas have given us. It's coming from the disciplic succession. If you want to see Krishna, do what Krishna says. Rather than speculating and creating your own theory of how you can achieve the highest goal, Krishna. So, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that. Krishna says, if you should perform devotional service, always chant my glories, And where does he say that? 9.14. Satadam kirtayantam mam yatantas chadrin vrta namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. So, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with determination, and what else? Bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So this is an important point. And that's exactly, as we can see, what Brahma is doing right now. He has seen the Lord, he's joyful, and now he's paying obeisances to the Supreme Lord. That's Vaishnava etiquette. When we see a senior devotee, or when we see a great Mahatma or a Paramahamsa, we should pay our obeisances. That's why when we enter the temple, the first thing we do is pay obeisances to our spiritual master, Prabhupada, because he is a Paramahamsa. He deserves all respect from everyone. Even though sometimes we may not feel like giving respect to another person, but we should do it out of duty. Eventually, when we keep doing it out of duty, it will come out of love. So this is an important point. One should cultivate the mindset by performing Vaidhi Bhakti or Sadhana Bhakti. This is all sadhana. It's part of the process of purifying the dirty heart, which has become very malicious, as Prabhupada says in this purport, full of toxic energy inside the heart. So we should clean that. We should clean the dust accumulated. Has anyone ever seen a mirror with dust on it? You can't see anything in the mirror that's full of dust. Nothing's visible. The duty of the mirror is to show you your reflection. But in a dirty mirror, you cannot see your reflection. All you can see is dust. And that's when you start identifying as the dust. Do you? No, we don't. We don't identify. When we look in the mirror, we don't identify ourselves with the dust. An intelligent person knows that this mirror is dusty. I should clean the mirror so I can see myself very clearly. Yeah, that's what we do. That's what an intelligent person would do. An intelligent person wouldn't think of the dust as this is me. You know, oh, this is what I look like? The dust? No, an intelligent person is smart. Any person would do that. Even a non-intelligent person would not identify himself with the mirror. Then why do we identify ourselves with the body? Because the heart has become very dirty. So we need to clean it. And has anyone ever cleaned before? It takes time to scrub and clean with soap. You shouldn't clean the heart with soap, but the soap isn't present in the form of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the soap that has been given to us, a transcendental soap to clean and purify the dirt in the heart so we can see things clearly. So we should do that. And not just that, there's another beautiful point that says that endeavor with great determination. You know. So what does that mean? Endeavoring with great determination. Why is Krishna telling us to endeavor with great determination? Why is he saying that? He's saying that because controlling the mind, detaching the mind from the sense objects is very difficult. Detaching the senses from the sense objects and focusing the mind completely on Krishna is the hardest thing in the world to do. Like you can all imagine the hardest thing you ever had to do, you know, and multiply it by 10,000 and even probably more, because the way our Kali Yuga society has raised our minds has become very, very, very toxic. So cleaning the heart just to focus on Krishna takes time, takes great determination, great endeavor. We shouldn't give up on this practice of Bhakti Yoga just because we think initially it is not working. You know, many times I hear devotees, they lose interest or they lose their determination for offenseless chanting. Why do people do that? Because they are not determined to purify the process. They not have the faith in the process either. So that's why Krishna is saying that this is the hardest path we have taken. But it is the most easiest for the one who is endeavoring with great determination. So we should all remember, we all know the pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj, how he wanted something material benedictions he wanted. Yeah? So what did he do? He endeavored with great determination to meditate upon the Supreme Lord. And he was able to achieve. He was very successful in getting what he wanted, because he was endeavoring with great determination. Even in material world, we can see so many people, so many of the scientists, the so-called scientists and scholarly people, they endeavor, they spend 24 hours, or practically 24 hours, studying literatures and books and so much other philosophies about things. They are they're endeavoring with great determination. They're also doing that. But they're not doing it for the highest purpose. What's the point of doing all that when you're all going to leave all this behind anyway? So that's why Krishna is saying, if you have to endeavor, do it for the highest. Something that is going to last forever. You know, what happens in the material world, you do a little thing, is when you leave the body, it's all gone. But spiritually, that doesn't happen. Spiritually, you take whatever little service you have performed, you take it forever with you in your next destination. So, this is what, and it's another beautiful point that Prabhupada is mentioning here in the purport of the 9.14 from Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada says that the Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping on ordinary man. Rubber stamping an ordinary man. You cannot. Prabhupada's probably referring this to who? Mahatma Gandhi, who was a great man, but was he a real Mahatma? What is the definition of a real Mahatma? Remember? Anyone remember? What is the definition of Mahatma? It's given in Nectar of Instruction, Introduction, Invocation. Mahatma is a great man who is attached to Krishna. A Krishna conscious man is called Mahatma. That's right there in Nectar of Instruction, the first chapter of actually Invocation. Rupa Goswami explains who is a Mahatma and how one can become a Mahatma. That's the first text. A person, Vachavegam, Manasakvaradavegam. So the one who has controlled the senses and the mind can be classified as Mahatma. That's when he is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So a Mahatma is not a cheap thing. We cannot label anyone a Mahatma. What is the qualification of Mahatma? The qualification of Mahatma is that he's an Uttamadhikari. He's the top level devotee who thinks of nothing else other than Krishna in how to engage others in service of Krishna. That is the only thing in the mind of a Paramahamsa, Mahatma. So Prabhupada is a Paramahamsa. Our whole disciplic succession is coming from the great devotees. We have Narada Muni, who is a great Paramahamsa. Yeah? Because he has nothing on his mind other than chanting the glories of the Lord. Every single thing, every activity he performs is somehow or another connected to bring people to Krishna consciousness or to remember Krishna. Yeah? Any activity of Narada Muni you take, from the books. You take whatever he has done. In Damodar prayers we sing how, what was the two names of the trees? The Nala Kuvera and Manigriva. Yeah, those two trees, they were devoted. They were not devotees, they were demigods in material world. They were demigods, son of Kuvera, two sons of Kuvera. And they were performing very, very low class action, by drinking liquor and engaged in sense gratification. And when Narada Muni saw this, he saw this as an opportunity. In his mind, he's thinking, I need to elevate these two bad people, get them attached to Krishna and not engage them in sinful activities. So he cursed them. He cursed them so they can take birth in Krishna's home. So that is not a curse, that is a benediction. So for a Paramahamsa, it is said that when a Paramahamsa curses, when a Brahman curses, it's not a curse, it's a benediction. When Maharaj Parikshit was cursed, it wasn't really a curse, it was a benediction. Because then he can drop everything he's doing and he can fully take part in Krishna Katha and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the mouth of Shukadev Goswami. So there is an interesting message in this, that when we are getting chastised or we are getting punished from our seniors, we shouldn't see it as a curse. We should see it as an opportunity to improve our skills and learn so we can become a better devotee. And sometimes we may feel like we are getting chastised for the things that we did not do. Has anyone ever thought about that, or is it just me? Yeah. Sometimes we think that I'm being cursed, I am being chastised for things that I did not do wrong. I think I was right. So because of that, we remember this beautiful story from Lord Ramachandra pastime. Yeah. So because Diwali is coming, so I thought I'll share this beautiful pastime. That's one of my favorite pastimes to learn. How we can associate better with the devotees. So, when Lord Ramachandra was exiled to go live in the forest, he was taking shelter in the forest of Lord Guha. Yeah? And Lord Guha, being a devotee of the Lord, he was very protective. And Lakshman also, because when you're living in a jungle, there is many great demons, many scary animals, very ferocious animals are there in the jungle. So Lakshman had taken this vow that I would not sleep at night. Instead, I would guard Lord Ramachandra and Sita Maya. I would protect them until they have safely returned home. So I would not sleep at night. And so every night, Lakshman, with the bow and arrow in his hand, he would circumambulate around Lord Ramachandra. And one day, Lord Guha was watching this. He was saying, why is Lakshman circumambulating around Lord Ramachandra with a bow and arrow in his hand? Maybe he's trying to kill Ram. That's the first thought he had. Maybe he's trying to kill Ram and take his position. So what did Lord Guha do? He took out his bow and arrow and he started circumambulating around Lakshman, keeping his watch on Lakshman, making sure that Lakshman doesn't shoot Lord Ramachandra. So he's doing his service, circumambulating around Lakshman, protecting Lord Ramachandra. And there's a soldier, a very senior soldier from Lord Guha's army, sees Lord Guha and he thinks, what is he doing? He's got a bow and arrow in his hand and he's circumambulating, pointing the bow and arrow at Lakshman. Maybe he's trying to kill Lakshman and take his position. So what did the soldier do? Soldier took out his bow and arrow and started circumambulating around Lakshman, pointing his bow and arrow at Guha. So then another soldier did that, saw this soldier and did the same thing, started circumambulating around this soldier. So that night, only two people slept. That was Lord Ramachandra and Sita Mata. And everyone else was performing devotional service, thinking that my mind is engaged in Krishna's service, yet not realizing that we are pointing a bow and arrow at another devotee who is doing exactly the same thing. So, has anyone ever found themselves in a situation like this before? Or is it just me? Yeah. So this happens to us. Sometimes we think that I want to do devotional service, what is right as per my understanding. And some other person is thinking, I have to do devotional service, what's right as per my understanding. So sometimes there can be a bit of a disturbance. But a great devotee does not look into the disturbance. Instead, a Vaishnava, a great Vaishnava, understands the mood of another devotee and tries to work together to do, so both of us can perform our devotional service together. So this is a great story and a great message that's teaching us, we should try to remember and learn from these pastimes that are mentioned in Bhagavatam or Ramayana or Mahabharata, all these Vedic scriptures are there to teach us that somehow or another we should try to engage our senses in the service of the Supreme Lord. You know, we know Hanuman, great example of service, engaging every single senses. He even engaged his tail in service of the Lord when he burned down Lanka, you know. So there's no body part that Hanuman has that is not engaged in the service of the Lord. He opened his chest, you know, to make people who doubted his devotional service, to show them that Krishna is right in the heart. Ramchandra is right sitting in the heart. So we shouldn't do that though. We shouldn't open our chest. We'll show a lot of dirt to people, not Lord Ramachandra. So we should not follow. But we should learn from the footsteps of these great acharyas that by pure bhakti, pure devotional service, pure engagement, one can have Krishna in the heart. If one can see Krishna in the heart. So we should follow this. And is any questions, comments or corrections, or we can talk a little more. There's 5 moments left. So if there's anything you would like to talk about. Any realizations from this text that you might have, that you saw interesting? Yes. Yeah, so that's a good question. The question is, how should we maintain determination? How do we determine all the time to be engaged in devotional service? There are many distractions and disturbances in the world. Well, that's true. In Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami also said, there's few things you should do that are in favor of your devotional service. That is, Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairyat Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyagat Sadavrite Sadbir Bhakti Prasiddhiti. So these are the 6 activities, and out of the first 3 are Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairya, that is enthusiasm. Utsahan is the first, Nishchaya, determination and patience. So usually when people ask me this question, I tell them that determination, motivation may not always be there. It'll come and go as time changes. That's why we should have discipline, because discipline will cultivate determination. Because sometimes, you know, as we can take example of chanting. You know, chanting is such a great activity, one of the most crucial activities of our whole bhakti process. And sometimes, you know, we're tired in the morning, we don't want to chant. We don't feel like, oh, I'm not feeling anything. So should we just give up our practice of 16 rounds? No, we should have discipline. Even though we are disturbed in the mind, we are feeling the disturbances, we should chant. And actually the disturbances when it comes, you know, when we're not feeling determination is missing, that is the opportunity to take shelter of Krishna even more, you know. Queen Kunti, you know, Kunti Maharani, such a great devotee. She lost everything. She lost practically everything, you know. She didn't have her kingdom. She didn't have her sons, you know. The eldest son, Karna, was dead. You know, he died. His grandson also died. So she was in a lot of stress. You cannot imagine. You know, I know people who lost someone, you know, and the willingness, the determination to live in this world becomes very difficult. But what did she do? She took shelter. She took this big disturbance of the mind as an opportunity to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. So we should also learn from that these great devotees are teaching us when the problems come. And what did she ask Krishna? She said, please give me more problems. Because the more the problem comes, the easier it becomes to remember you. So please, so when the disturbances are coming, although we shouldn't try to ask for more disturbances, because we may not be able to handle it, because we are not as great devotee as Kunti Maharani, but we should learn that when the disturbances are there, this is an opportunity to take shelter. Because a Vaishnava or a Paramahamsa always sees opportunity. He's an opportunist. Can't say that word right, but you know what I mean. He's always looking to take opportunity. Like Prabhupada, for example, you know, He had a heart attack, 2 heart attacks on the way. He was an old man going to the west in a place he's never seen snow before. And it's like the coldest place where he's going. It's super cold. But he saw it as an opportunity because he was determined to fulfill the desire of his spiritual master, you know. So we should also see that. We should see the goal, the bigger picture, and determination will come. Even if it doesn't come, but we shouldn't divert from the path of discipline. Because once discipline is there, determination will come eventually. Does it make sense? Yeah. All right, we'll end here. It's time. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Tagore Premanandi.